We tell you that the Nigeria Center for Disease Control says there is no new variant of COVID-19 in Nigeria, but the agency recorded 35 new cases of COVID-19 infections in the last week of December 2022. This was made known on the agency's website that 22 of the cases were recorded in the FCT, 10 were recorded in Lagos State, 2 were recorded in Delta, while 1 was recorded in Plateau State. The new cases increased Nigeria's total infections to 266,450 and 3,155 deaths since the outbreak of the pandemic in 2019. The NCDC stated that 3,451 people were currently down with the virus, while 259,841 people have been treated and discharged nationwide. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control is appealing to Nigerians to regularly disinfect frequently touched surfaces to prevent the spread of the virus and other infectious diseases. It says getting vaccinated is the best way to combat the virus. For more on this development, Professor of Virologist, Redeemers University, Ede Ibadan, Oyewale Tomori, joins me via Zoom. Thank you so much for joining us on the news this hour. The report about the 35 new cases reported about COVID-19, is this coming to you as a news?
No. I mean, first of all, if you go and check, you find that the numbers they're talking about covers a period of 2 weeks. If you go to their website, they're giving bi-weekly reports now, or we report every 2 weeks. And so we get information about what has happened in the last 2 weeks, and we say we have 35 cases. These are some of the problems we're having. In a time like this, when things are happening in other parts of the world, I think we need more updates on a regular basis. I think one other thing that MCD is not telling us, how many of the inbound passengers that are coming to Nigeria are positive for COVID? We don't get that information, do we? That's more important than the one that is here already. How many of those who are coming into the country are positive? And how do you know in a situation where half of the labs that we have in the country are no longer testing, how much of credibility do we place on such figures?
Well, it's one thing because when COVID-19 came into Nigeria, everyone was running helter-skelter, and then at a point in time, we reverted to what Nigeria used to be, people going about their businesses. And it does appear that everyone has let their guard down and we're not complying with the non-pharmaceutical measures. What would you say as regards the fact that it does appear no one is taking this seriously any longer?
I think we're doing this at our own peril. I remember, even the steering committee and NCDC really tell us, there was a time, when every newspaper, will tell us so many cases per day. Now we've kind of relegated that to the background, and therefore, even the surveillance is not something you do stop and go. Surveillance is continuous, particularly as you are not the only country in the world. And so long as things are happening in other parts of the world, you leverage your surveillance in line of what is going on in other parts of the world. A very good example, you remember polio have been eradicated in many parts of the world. There are 2 countries that still have polio. Malawi, 17 years after polio, had the polio case last year, which came in from Afghanistan or Pakistan somewhere. So that's the relationship about diseases. Any part of the world where there is going on, you have to be on the alert. I think we've gone to sleep in Nigeria, and I don't know we should. For the sake of because we don't know who is coming in. I asked you a question. How many of inbound passengers in Nigeria are tested positive for COVID? We don't know. The latest figure I have found on NCDC, I said 2 out of about 1,500. And I asked the question, how many people are testing? These are some of the issues that we need to look at seriously. We need to look at what is happening in the world and behave accordingly. Get ourselves ready. I'm not saying ban people coming from China or whatever, but I said, upgrade your surveillance, increase your surveillance, enhance it, especially for people coming from that part of the area. Those are the kind of restrictions countries are putting. It's not that the countries are banning people from China. Recently, Italy, 2 plane loads that came in from China, 50% of the people on those 2 plane loads into one of their airports were positive for COVID. Those are the kind of things we're talking about. We need to up our testing. We need to get our people, our pulse actively working so that we know what is coming in.
Right. We also understand that even in China, China has really taken this very seriously. When all the rest of the world has actually moved on, China really took this very seriously, and the people of China, the Chinese, are losing respect or trust in their government. What do you think the Nigerian government should do regarding this? Because the NCDC says that vaccination is the best way to go, and we have a lot of people who have not been vaccinated. How do you react to this? Because some have already got one, the first jab, the second jab, and the booster jab is not even taken by a lot of people. So how do you ensure that Nigerians, or what it's meant to be done for Nigerians to make sure that they get vaccinated?
You see, each country has its own approach to the way you deal with this thing. China decided it was going to be zero COVID. It worked for some time, and they had quite a low number for their population. But then you can't keep zero COVID on as other parts of the world are having. So they ran the problem, and that's what is happening to them right now. In Nigeria, for example, a figure from MPHCDA shows that close to maybe a little over 50% of those who are targeted for vaccination have received full immunization. So and we're looking at, that's the number, not the whole country. We're looking at the number with the targeted, not just the entire number. So we have only covered 54 or 55% of those. We need to keep getting the only solution to all these things, get yourself vaccinated. And it's not just with 1 dose or 2 doses. When they call full vaccination, it means you get your booster doses, because new variants are coming out. And what your protection of 1 dose or 2 doses may not protect you against a new variant. That's why that message needs to go out to all our people. Go and get your full vaccination. It's for your own life. It's not for the sake of the government. It is your life. It is my life. And therefore, even if the government seems to be sleeping, we cannot afford to sleep.
Right.
Or else we die.
Well, we'll continue to talk about this to bring it to the consciousness of Nigerians. Professor of Virologist, Redeemers University, Ede, joining us from Ibadan, Oyewale Tomori. Thank you so much for your keenness of insight.
It's my pleasure.